the relationship between Coriolanus and Tullus Aufidius is what the Romans would have described as emulatio, okay, which is the origin of our word emulation. Shakespeare uses this word, and we should understand when he uses it, he means emulatio, not really emulate. And the idea here, right, is that there is a kind of love that is violent, because what the parties want, right, is to be better than the other. So there is, they love, they need each other because they need a rival who is worthy of them, right? If the rival is, so Coriolanus, how does he refer to the Roman soldiers under his command? He calls them slaves, right? Why? Well, because they run away. And so in order for Coriolanus to prove his virtue, he needs a worthy opponent, right? Who can be the other, it takes two to tango, right? And so the projection of violence onto the rival also involves love for the rival, because it's only the rival who is beloved who is worthy of being the object in which I can demonstrate my power, right? Now, so it is that, so here, so let's think again about the master slave dialectic, right? Here we have a slightly different kind of, so neither of these parties is willing to submit. And so what do we have? We have a logic of open-ended escalation. Okay. Now, if there is in economics a logic of open-ended escalation, a relation of rivalry, in which what I want is not to satisfy my desire or my needs or to preserve myself, but what I want instead is to demonstrate my dominance over my rival, who I have to glorify, right, in order to make them make it possible for them to be a good object for me, right? There is no point at which we can reach an equilibrium. Okay, so this is what Veblen introduced, and we'll read Veblen in a few weeks, and I want you to remember this and see if you can see the stuff going on in Veblen, right? Veblen introduces the idea, right? We have things like conspicuous consumption. It's not, if the goal of economics is not to preserve myself, but rather to enjoy the idea that others are looking at me and being jealous of what I'm consuming, right? So if our desire for consumption is really a desire to have the object in the way that the other person has the object, right? It's not just that I have desires and I need to fulfill them, and it's the purpose of the economy to fulfill them. It's that my desires are generated by a rivalry with the other, and I need the other to recognize me as being in possession of the object, and that's really what I enjoy when I enjoy it, right? Well, now we've introduced an element of dynamic instability into the economy that has all kinds of consequences that are important for our understanding of how capital works. And the key here is to go back to the idea that there is an ethical demand to put honor over life. Okay? That is how you show that you are worthy of freedom, is that you prefer your honor to your life. And when Coriolanus demonstrates this kind of ethical virtue, how does he do it? So can somebody explain for us what is the conflict with which Shakespeare's play opens with Coriolanus? What is so like in Act 1? I mean there is a single core issue that leads Coriolanus to rebel against Rome, and what is it? And Kumi says the people are hungry, right? So what do they want? This is like line 5 or something. Let's kill him and we'll have grain at our own price, Okay, they have grain at their own price. Why? Because they are resolved to, what is it, perish rather than famine. So what are the plebs doing in this opening scene? Well, they're actually demonstrating their non-servility. What do they say in the opening scene? We're all gonna die anyway because we're gonna starve, so let's not fear death, right? Let us give up our fear of death, and we are going to assert ourselves as citizens of Rome. And Rome must, so there's another line, it's referring to Coriolanus, but it applies to both. Rome must know the value of its own, right? So they are going to assert themselves, they are going to assert their value, and they're going to do this by giving up their fear of death, by saying we're going to revolt against the city rather than submit ourselves to starvation, as though, is that what, what is the wealth of the Roman senatorial class? Well, it's land, okay? But really, and this is what I wanted you to get out of Jamestown, which I'll talk a little bit more specifically about toward the end of the class. What owning land allows you to do is to accumulate the debt of other people as your assets, right? Simply put, you have tenants, they owe you rent. What happens if they can't meet the rent? It's okay, you loan them money so that they can pay it. You draw them into your debt. That debt sits on your books as your asset. And also you can use it as money, okay? For reasons that some of you may understand that I'm going to gloss over for now. So the fact that there is debt permanently carried on the books that constitutes the assets of the senatorial class makes the idea that the price of grain might be open to policy manipulation a fundamental threat to the entire social structure of Roman society, okay? Because if we can just use the public fisc, if we have a public grain paid for with public money that can be distributed at a price that the plebs can choose because they vote for whatever price they want, well, why should they ever go into debt because they didn't grow enough grain on their farm in order to pay their rent? Do you see? So what this means, so the contemporary version of this, right? I mean, so this is, well, this is the fear of majority rule that goes back to ancient Athens, right? So Athenian democracy, rather than thinking about this as what we mean by democracy, the best way to understand the actually existing Athenian democracy is a way to limit the franchise as much as possible, right? To tightly restrict the number of people who can vote, who have a say in public affairs, because the problem is that society is structured by a debt relation, okay? The antagonism between creditors and debtors, those who owe money and those to whom money is owed, is the fundamental class division in society. And if the people who are debtors get political power and can make decisions about prices, well, they can just vote themselves out of debt. And then where would we be? So Coriolanus's point is that if he allows the rise of the tribunes, right, these leaders that the plebs are able to get elected from, so basically they make a union, right? If Coriolanus allows the plebs to unionize, then they're going to exert political power that will destroy the debt relation that is the basis of aristocratic wealth, right? That is what his wealth is. And from Coriolanus's point of view, if this is allowed to happen, Rome might as well be destroyed. What's the point of saving Rome if what we're saving it for is just for these slavish plebs to vote themselves out of debt and take away all of our property by doing so? Saving Rome didn't do me any good in this case, right?